our ears too. Could the Dolphins franchise tag Jarvis Landry or even let him walk in free agency? Landry coming off a season where he set a franchise single record, 112 receptions, caught 9 career high touchdown passes. Jarvis Landry certainly piled up a lot of catches since he started his career in Miami. He logged a whopping 400 catches since he entered the NFL in 2014. That's easily the most by any player in his first 4 seasons in NFL history, and 58 more than the next closest player on that list, which is Anquan Bolden. And let's show you a memorable moment against the Jets. Here's Landry in the slot, loses the defender, makes the catch right over the middle, but look at the hurdle, Lou. What kind of skills you need there?
Those are nice. I like them. I like them.
All right, well, it was a 17-yard gain for Landry, but the Jets, no doubt, would be thinking about that hurdle for a long time. Did the Jets use a receiver? Are they in the market for that?
They could.
They could use one.
They could.
All right, so here's what we're doing. When the season actually gets here, when it begins, guys, I want to ask you, is Jarvis Landry going to be tagged, long-term deal, or was he picked up in free agency?
I think he plays somewhere else next year. I think, and again, this is an educated guess at the beginning of the franchise tag window. But I think there's a strong chance that they don't get it done. They've been at work on this contract for a while. My understanding is the fundamental disagreement is between Jarvis Landry and the Dolphins. They see him as a slot receiver, an excellent slot receiver, but a slot receiver, and he wants to be paid like a top-level receiver. The franchise tags are going to be about $16.2 million. If the Dolphins wanted to pay him that, I think they probably would have by now. And so I think this is one worth watching. If they tag him, it indicates to me that they feel like they're close to a deal. And if they don't tag him, it indicates to me like they feel like they couldn't get a deal done with him.
Yeah, I would see him being somewhere else also, because I would have, and I'm not saying that they don't need his contributions, but I think relative to where they see him fitting in with the rest of the wide receivers in the NFL and what he brings to the table, despite the fact that he catches balls at a very, very high clip, it's the average per catch, it's the explosive playmaking ability, the ability to win on the outside lane like the top-paid wide receivers get in the NFL. He doesn't win on the outside like Julio. He doesn't win on the outside like A.J. Green. He doesn't win on the outside like A.B. He's not that guy, and I think that's where they're butting heads right there. He sees himself one way. Slot receivers have never been paid like that.
Right.
They've never been paid like the top players, and they're not right now. So I think I could see a scenario where he's not on this roster also because of that fundamental difference.
I would use the non-exclusive tag on him to see if someone's willing to give me 2 ones if I match. And you know, if I don't match, I should say. And that's where it's at. I don't think they can afford to lose him. He's a good football player, and they don't have very many good football players.
Non-exclusive tag, but you two see him on different teams there. All right, then we got the case of Allen Robinson, right? He tore his ACL in week 1 this past season. The former second-round pick just 2 seasons removed from leading the NFL with 14 touchdown catches. So Robinson, of course, coming off this injury, still just only 24 years old. So, guys, at the start of the season, when we get this thing going, what are the Jags going to do here? They're going to tag him, they're going to agree to a long-term deal, or is he going to go to another team through free agency, starting with you, Lou? Yeah,
I think he'll sign a long-term deal. I think Allen Robinson, look, I'm not trying to compare Allen Robinson with Jarvis Landry, but he's the kind of guy, look, he's an outside lane one-on-one winner, a down-the-field high riser who can win jump balls and catch the ball at an amazing explosive play clip. I like Allen Robinson. The problem is he's coming off of an injury, which will suppress his value naturally so and will cause the team to go, okay, look, we need to protect ourselves a little bit in the event that you don't return to previous form. But I think for Allen and for the Jaguars, I think it behooves them both to kind of come together and get a long-term deal done here. I don't think he would – I wouldn't say he wouldn't want to test the market, but I think if he wanted to test the market, he'd want to do it coming off of a healthy season. I just think he'll wind up being a Jaguar. Let's put it that way.
Dan?
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll get a deal done. I think the injury helps the situation in some respects because he's not going to be able to go ahead and break the bank after missing an entire year. But I think they want him on the team. I still think they view him as their best receiver when he's healthy, even as well as they managed to do with these other guys this year. I think he's a different kind of guy, and I believe he'll be on the Jaguars on a new contract.
I'm not so sure, although I think you could put the non-exclusive tag on him and live with the number, but I'm not so sure they'll do it. I got a feeling that they felt they made it to the championship game without him.
Yep.
And
they're
stuck with Bortles' number because of the injury.
Right.
I don't know if they can fit him in.
Yep. All right, let's stick with the theme of wide receivers eligible to be tagged or become unrestricted free agents. A change of scenery was quite good for Sammy Watkins last season as a trade sent him from Buffalo to the Rams. And the former fourth overall pick led Sean McVay's team with 8 touchdown catches. He produced some big plays there when the time came last season, earned his yards in chunks. He had a habit of doing that since he came in the league in 2014, averaging nearly 16 yards per catch in the time. That's the 3rd highest mark in the NFL among players with at least 100 catches. He trails just Deshaun Jackson and T.Y. Hilton. Let's take a look at his memorable moment. This came back in Week 9 against the New York Giants. Here's Sammy split out wide here. Jared Goff just launches this one deep. Hits Watkins right in stride. A 67-yard touchdown catch. It was Watkins' only catch of the game. Certainly was a big one and certainly was memorable as he gets congratulated by his teams on the sideline. And for real, what a change of scenery and what a great job Sean McVay was able to do with figuring out how to get the most out of Watkins there. So here we are. So when the season begins, guys, is he going to be tagged, long-term deal, free agency, new team?
I think he's signed. I think he'll be on the Rams next year. They may tag him in the meantime while they get a deal done, but my understanding is they want him on next year's team. They valued his contributions this year, even though the numbers weren't great, and they have bigger plans for him as the offense continues to evolve and as Jared Goff continues to develop.
If we're trying to predict what the Rams are going to do, look, I would assume that they try and sign him to a long-term deal. What would I do? I darn sure wouldn't tag him, and it would have to be a team-friendly long-term deal for me that really emphasizes consistency of performance, especially in big moments, because Sammy Watkins, for me, for as much production as he has had as far as being an explosive playmaker, in big moments for me, he was disappointing this year. So it would have to be a team-friendly deal for me, because I feel as though you could replace that production. You could find that production somewhere else.
Are you in agreement?
I am in total agreement with Lewis. I would not give him a long-term deal, and if he left, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
No sweat there.